Hi there. In this video we'll look at the if-then-else function, which will allow us to display a message depending on the value of a cell. So I've got a little arrangement here. I've got names and ages. I want to display a message if they're greater than 18 but less than 19, they'll be able to vote but not buy beer in BC. If they're less than 18, they won't be able to vote or buy beer. If they're 19, they'll be able to vote and buy beer in BC, but not in Washington. They won't be able to buy beer in Washington. If they're greater than 21, then they should be able to vote and buy beer in both places. So, I'm just going to make this thing a little taller here. And for the status, I'll add an if function. So I'll type in type in equals, if, bracket. So there's the logical test. So the first test I'm going to say if somebody is less than a certain age, they can't vote and they can't buy beer. So that's B3. So if B3 is less than 18, then the message is not old enough to vote or buy beer in BC or WA. If it's false, I want to ask another question of that value. So I put a comma there for that reason. And I don't close my brackets yet, and I use Alt. I'm going to use Alt-Enter to drop down a line. I like to put each question, basically each part of this thing on its own line. So I'll say if. Now I want to ask two questions. I'll say if greater than or equal to 18, but less than 19. They can vote, but they can't buy beer in BC. So that's B3, it's and bracket B3 greater than or equal to 18, comma, B3 less than 19, close bracket, comma, and then the statement. So these brackets are for the AND function. We can ask two questions at the same time. I'll say old enough to vote, but not to buy beer in BC and WA. Another comma, Alt-Enter, give myself another line in that formula bar. And this time I'll say if they're greater than or equal to 18, but less than 21, they can vote and they can buy beer in BC, but not in Washington. So if and B3 greater than 19, greater than or equal to 19, I should say, but less than 21, then old enough to buy beer and be old enough to vote and buy beer in BC, but not old enough to buy beer in WA. Now finally, if they're greater than 21, they can do both. So again, another Alt-Enter. If B3 is greater than or equal to 21, old enough to buy beer and vote in WA BC NWA. Close bracket. Now, this actually is incorrect, sorry. As is, there we go. So now we just have to close these 4 brackets, because we have ifs inside of ifs inside of ifs inside of ifs. So notice when I go shift bracket, that one lights up on the bottom line. There we go. And when I do that again, it lights up on the second to bottom line. And do that again, third to bottom line and fourth to bottom line. And let's just make sure I have no extra brackets. And now I'll press enter. So Sally should get the first message. Oh, I realize that should be B3 is less than 18. There we go. Now when I press enter, but Sally should get the first message. She can't vote, she can't buy beer anywhere. Steve should be able to vote, but not buy beer. Sam should be able to vote and buy beer in BC. Ralph should be able to buy beer and vote in both places. So that's a very elaborate if function. So I believe you're allowed to, I read this before years ago, I'm not sure if it's still true or maybe it's expanded, but I believe you can add 14 questions within one if then else. Thanks so much for watching.